Okay, so I believe we're back. Selma,
Hi, Ed. How are you? How was your lunch?
it
Welcome
was
back.
it was good. It was good. Welcome back to everyone. Look, we have a party going on here. Yeah.
We have now a big challenge because we have,
Oh,
well,
hold on a
we
second.
are right now with John's Basic. How are you?
I'm good, Selma. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. I think we have big challenge right now because we have to get up all the people after lunch, you know.
Yeah, he's like, wake up.
What do you have prepared for us?
Well,
Oh,
so
we're good.
yeah,
Sorry.
before we start, yeah, I want to, thank you to everyone for being here, coming back. I know it's been long week again last week, and people are still recovering, and they probably didn't even go to bed since Black Hat and DEF CON. We had our first two sessions this morning with Tony Cole from Ativo Networks and Mike Kaiser from SailPoint. So I appreciate them being here. I appreciate everyone that came over and watched those presentations. Thank you again to all our sponsors, Ativo Networks, SailPoint, Exabeam, and CyberArk. Thank you to all the attendees that have visited each of the sponsors. They're doing some really fantastic stuff there in each of their virtual rooms. So we started the afternoon with really good stuff. It's going to be not a presentation. It's going to be more active. That's why you see all of us here. And I will let Paul and Jenny present themselves in a second. We have with us John Spasic. Selma, tell us about John.
Yes, of course. John's Basic, information security professional with both offensive and defensive experience, CISSP, CISM, CEH, and OSCP certifications. John is always seeking to share his experiences and secure organizations to the best of his ability, regardless of the environment. So thank you, John, for being with us today. And also thank you, Jen and Paul, for being with us in this activity.
So Jen, tell us about yourself. Oh, there's your cat.
Yes, I have an assistant here. So I am a security engineer at GitHub, and nice. I answer all sorts of customer security questions all day in, day out. Background was paralegal, so about 20 years of legal experience before going into security.
Wow, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Paul Miller.
Yeah, I am the Chief Operations Officer for Blackfire Security. We're a small boutique InfoSec firm with clients all over the globe, from New Zealand to the Netherlands.
Excellent, excellent. Wow, that's pretty good. You get to travel a lot to those places?
Not lately.
That's stupid question. Never mind. Erase. That's funny. All right. Well, John.
Thank you, Ed. So I am going to quickly share my screen.
No, tell us about yourself. What you?
No, I don't want to tell about myself.
Oh, okay,
no.
fine then.
So Selma did a great introduction. My name is John Spasic. I am the founder and principal architect of EliteSec. Very much like Blackfire, we are a small boutique shop, but mostly Canadian. So okay. I don't have that global presence yet, but hopefully after you guys have seen today's presentation, that might change.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to do is bring everybody together today, and I want us to go through what's called a gamified tabletop. So I know that we won't be able to do the show of hands. I know that Tony tried that earlier this morning. It didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
That's okay. So for those of you who have been in the industry for a while, you probably have experienced a tabletop one way or the other. Either you led one or you're a participant in one or whatever else. So if you have, you'll understand why they need a bit of a revamp. And if you haven't, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why we're going to need to have a bit of a revamp. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a live demonstration. So before we do that live demonstration, I'm just going to go through a few slides, kind of get everybody on the same page, get an understanding of what it is we're going to try to do. And then what you're going to see is the 4 co-hosts that I have here will go through a life-altering experience at the best case scenario. In a worst case scenario, I'm gonna get some hate mail, but I'm a big boy and I can take care of it. I can take that, so that's less of a concern. So I'm going to quickly see. Only one participant can share at a time. Ed, can you pass over sharing to me?
Yeah, you're the co-host, so you can share.
Oh, actually, no, never mind. There it is. There it is.
There you go.
Amateur hour over here.
Yeah.
All right, so gamified tabletops. Who am I? We've already gone through this. I'm John Spozik. I'm the founder principal consultant at EliteSec. I've got over 20 years in the IT field. I've spent 15 years as a software developer, as everything from a software developer to a team lead to an architect to a manager. I've run the gambit within that space. I've spent the last 8 years in information security, and it's actually a bit longer than that. I used to work for a SIM vendor as well, but I try not to think about those days because, well, SIM has fallen out of favor over the years. I'm also the host of the Purple Squad Security Podcast. I'm on a bit of a hiatus right now, but you never know. We might end up coming back. And I have been doing gamified tabletops since 2017. So this isn't a new concept for me. I've actually been doing these for a number of years now. And Ed
in
has,
fact, yeah, I was going to say that. In fact, we are hosting you next week, huh? August 20th, 21st, on a 2-day workshop, half day Thursday, half day Friday, on gamified tabletop. How to do this? We'll talk about that at the end of the session here.
Absolutely. So, and as Selma had mentioned, for me, certs are like Pokemon. I got to catch them all. So I've got a few. I've got, you can take a look there. And yes, that is a never-ending list. I do it more out of personal pride than anything else. But I personally find it a good way to test my own skills. All right, so traditional tabletops. What exactly are they? What is this all about? So in a traditional tabletop, you can think of it as a way of doing a fire drill for your organization. Think of a disaster that can strike your organization, come up with a plan to deal with it, get a bunch of your departments together and walk through the plan. What is the plan? The plan is either your BCP, your business continuity plan, or your DR plan, your disaster recovery plan, depending how technical it is. So this can be representation from marketing to finance to HR to IT to security to support to whomever, essentially everyone you think that you will need in order to overcome a particular issue. It's easy. Not so fast. Common mistakes that are made is people like to follow the happy path. Now, what do I mean by that? What is the happy path? The happy path, quite simply, is everything just works. Oh, our internet is out. Okay, well, go check the router. Oh, the router was unplugged because the cleaners came in the night before and accidentally unplugged one of the cables and then plugged it into the wrong port. Oh, that was easy. And everything is just fine. What ends up happening is people get complacent. Oh, this is easy. We know what's going to happen. Oh, we got ransomware? Sure, we're just going to pay the fine, or we're going to pay the ransomware, and we're going to move on, or we're going to restore from backup. Oh, we had somebody steal something from internal? Just check the video recordings. Check with the security guard at the front to make sure that they're still frisking people when they're entering or leaving or checking their bags, something along those lines. This is just going to happen. So this is what we call the happy path. People assume everything is going to work out. Because people follow the happy path, the participants become bored and unengaged. Nothing is more frustrating than going to a meeting where you're not participating in it at all, and people are talking about items and issues and processes that have absolutely no bearing on what you do day to day. Are you going to tune in and actually pay attention? Probably not. You're going to be on your phone. You're going to be looking at what you've got next for your next set of meetings. You're going to be going through your emails, and you're not engaging, which means you're not actually participating in this fire drill that we call a tabletop. And as such, you're not really going to be engaged or caring. And when disaster strikes, you won't be prepared. Most of the time, companies don't do this until they're told by an auditor, if you want that fancy ISO 27001 certification, or you want that SOC 2 certification, show me that you've actually done a tabletop, or that you have a BCP or a DR plan that you've tested. Or you have a contract from a fairly large customer that's demanding it in the legal requirements. And now all of a sudden people are scrambling. You spend an hour or two in a boardroom, or virtually now, and everything is swept under the rug. You wipe your hands clean, say, yep, we've done it. It totally worked out because we followed the happy path. But again, we run into the same problems I talked about earlier. So when we talk about gamified tabletops, what makes them different? What is new and unique about them? Well, you get all the same people involved, so you still get representation from all the different departments. You get, so one thing I should mention is when we're talking about running a tabletop, you usually have a coordinator. That's the person who is going to kind of be the main person responsible for that simulation, right? They're the ones who are going to keep people on track. You usually have somebody that's known as a scribe, or someone who's taking meeting minutes or notes, basically what's working, what's not. This is if you take it seriously. If you're just rushing through it, you just get a bunch of people in a room and try to figure it out. That doesn't work. If you're going to do it properly, these are the types of people that you're going to want to have in it. So in the simulation we're going to run today, I'm going to be the coordinator. Everybody else are going to be the representatives from the different departments. We're not going to have a scribe because Ed's recording this, and that's good enough for our purposes. Same concept as a traditional tabletop, but we have a small twist, right? What do I mean by that? We still have a disaster we're trying to overcome, and we're going to try to work it through with the various representatives from the different departments how to get through it. The small twist, there is no happy path. Why isn't there a happy path? Well, we're going to introduce dice to determine the outcome. Now, when I talk about dice, I'm talking about dice. These lovely little plastic things. I have two dice here. I have a 6-sided dice, which I call a 1d6, and I have a 20-sided dice, which I call a 1d20. So all our reps who are joining us have dice, either physical or using the Google Dice Roller for the purposes of today's little experiment. So the reality is nothing is certain, and a dice roll models that reality nicely. This gives you the opportunity to replay scenarios. So if we talk about having an internet disruption, for example, someone might say, hey, let's go check the router. And I might say, great, roll a 1d6. Roll a single 6-sided dice. What did you get? Oh, I got a 2. Oh, yeah, the cables are fine. There's nothing wrong there. So now you have to think what is going on. If you rolled something higher, okay, well, yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a blip. You can see that the router itself is flashing its lights, indicating that there's something wrong with its current state. So maybe a quick power cycle might fix that, but it might lead to something else that you need to investigate. By forcing people to pay attention, their engagement grows. Every time somebody makes a decision, they have to roll a dice. When they have to roll the dice, they don't know what's going to happen, which means now they have to pay attention. And now you have spectators that are also anxious because now they're also part of this. This is the engagement. This is the gamification of this process. And a little competition goes a long way. Now, when I talk about competition, I'm not talking about competition between people. Remember, you're working as a team trying to work to get your company back up and running. You're experiencing an event that is preventing your business from functioning properly. You're working as a team to fix that. So the competition is against the environment. It's against the disaster that you're facing. That's what we're trying to compete against. And when you unite people against a common enemy, you have engagement and you have attention that are second to none. Let's play a game. And don't worry, in this one, everyone lives. Ed's laughing because he's experienced this with me in the past. And that was more for entertainment value. It was in a podcast episode that I had done way back when with Ed. And yes, we may have killed an intern in that one. That's not going to happen today. We have lovely people here today. We are not going to let that happen. All right, so here's the background on what's going to be happening. The organization that you're working for is a medium-sized company of approximately 450 people. You're a SaaS vendor who's part of a niche market selling services to the waste management industry. You are the industry leader, but there's a lot of fierce competition within the sector itself. There's been a fair share of mudslinging in the market, but you've always managed to stay clean. Now, for the sake of argument, we're also going to assume this is pre-COVID, so you're actually in a physical office together as opposed to being remote. So we're going to take that out of the equation, right? And that's just for simplicity and the fact that we have 45 minutes left and we don't have time to work through all the different nuances that could possibly happen. So just so everyone is aware, we're not likely going to finish this scenario, and that's perfectly fine. What we're going to try to do is just showcase what this is actually about. And I want to leave about 10, 15 minutes at the end for questions and kind of a wrap up, which is normally what you do in a regular tabletop anyway. There is no security team, by the way, because there is no perceived need from the senior execs. Because again, you're a fairly small company. You've never had an issue before. Why should we pay for a department that doesn't really produce anything? It's just a giant cost center, you know, blah, blah, blah. We have more important things to spend money on. Classic story. So we have different groups. Who are the groups that we have? We have IT. Paul is going to be representing IT. We have legal. Jen is going to flex her paralegal skills and guide us in that direction. We have marketing. Salma is going to showcase her mad marketing skills. And finally, we have finance. And oh, Ed, great at spending money. Let's see if you can help save some. Let's begin. Good morning. It's a typical Friday, slightly overcast, but normal. Everyone is chugging away at their respective positions without much issue, when suddenly the entire building seems to be humming. Hard drives are whirring in an almost eerie unison. Fans are starting to spin up in an effort to keep the systems cool. Approximately 10 minutes later, machines start rebooting, as if like dominoes. Then all of a sudden, after the machines reboot, this happens. Oh no. For those who don't know what this is actually a screenshot from WannaCry, which was ransomware that hit in 2017. Fairly large. This is just an example. You're not actually being hit by WannaCry, you're being hit by another more modern variant. Take your pick. There's hundreds of them that are out there now. But the point is, you've been hit by ransomware. This is what's popping up on all sorts of screens everywhere. Legal. You were in the middle of redlining a few contracts, but you're down now and you can't seem to access them. Thankfully, you printed out a copy for your own records, so you may as well start working on those. Marketing. People are grabbing their phones and checking your corporate website. Obviously, internet presence is key. We need to make sure that the website is still up. It's slow, but it is loading successfully. So I might as well go ask IT what's going on. Finance. You're in the middle of checking your past due accounts when the outage hit. There seems to be a lot of activity over by the IT help desk, so maybe a coffee break is in order while they sort this stuff out. IT, your help desk is getting really crowded and the phone is ringing off the hook. People have loads of questions, but you don't have any answers for them yet. IT, what do you want to do?
All right, so we know we've had this hit some of our computers and servers. Do we know if it's all of them yet, or is it just some of them that have done this?
Roll 1d6, please.
6.
It seems that it's hit all your desktop machines and it's hit your email servers as well as a few other systems, but it seems your corporate website has been spared for now.
Okay. First order of business. Well, see, that's metagaming. I can't really do that. We need to figure out where this thing started at, because that makes sense that that machine is going to be the one that's reaching out and hitting the others with the infection. Is there any way for me to identify which machine it started at? I'll say it that way. That's the right way to say it.
Roll a 1d6, please.
2.
No.
Awesome.
See how easy this is?
Right. I'm keeping my IT hat on, keeping my security hat off. So, so the next question there is we need to figure out how to stop this from spreading further. If it's only hit our workstations, that's less problematic. What about, we said that the website was loading sluggishly right now?
Mm-hmm.
That's a concern. Possibly more of a concern than the workstations.
So while you're trying to figure all of this out, you've got a handful of your employees that are standing around asking, hey, what's going on? What's happening to my machines? Marketing has come over and Selma's very upset, right? She's very upset. She's like, Paul, I can't check my email. How do I know what's going on? And you've got representatives coming all over. Jen's wandered over from legal. She's curious, is there something we should worry about? Obviously Ed's coming over and saying, why is everyone standing around? What are we paying people for? This is completely unexcusable, and balancing things. What do you want to focus on?
I actually want to focus on finding that source and stopping this from spreading further, because I know that our data center is in danger as well if we can't confirm that it won't spread. And that is where even more value than what we're wasting right now is. So okay. Let's see. Do I know if our network is segmented correctly to keep these things from spreading from one network to another? Are we all on the same network? Is our server network a different network? What do we
roll a 1d20, please?
Me?
I rolled a 5.
No, just Paul for now. Yeah. So one thing that I do want to make clear, while Paul seems to be driving a lot of this stuff right now, if any of you others have ideas that you want to chime in on or that you think would be relevant for what you want to do, please let me know, right? And feel free to interject. This is meant to be a parallel exercise.
By the way, we just had the latecomer join us. What is he going to be doing?
Oh, okay. Well, Mark, you are going to now take over for finance, and Ed, you're promoted. You're CEO now.
All righty. So Mark, just roll with it. We've been hit with ransomware, and yep. And we're just starting to figure out what to do. So we have Paul, who's leads IT. So
now, okay. John, you did mention that there were other systems hit.
Yes.
Do we know if those have anything to do with employee data?
Okay, let's finish off with Paul first. Okay, so you rolled a 5, correct?
Yeah, so I'm guessing.
So no, you're a nice big flat network.
I'm so sorry. I was following along live on the other one.
That's all right.
That's okay, Mark. So this is perfect. So now you know you're
this
in
is
finance.
Normal. This is normal, right? In real world, somebody comes in late. I'm gonna bring them up to speed really quick.
So many stories I can tell about this. Yeah, no, this is perfectly fine. Mark, you're going to represent finance. You've been hit with ransomware. We don't know any of the demands yet, but stay tuned because you may need to get involved. Ed, you've been promoted to CEO, so when people need to make a company-wide decision, they will turn to you.
Okay.
And we'll move in from there. So nice big flat network. Jen, your question with regards to do any of the systems have PII on them or not? Can you roll a 1d20, please?
All right. I do not get lucky with these, let me see. 13.
13. So unfortunately, some of the systems that have been infected do actually pertain to some production environments. systems that do have PII for your customers. So you do have potential violations.
Okay. Do we have customers in California and do we have customers in the EU?
Can you roll 1d6 twice, please, and let me know what the rolls for each of them.
I can tell you're in legal.
All right, so the first one was a 3 and the second one was 1.
Oh, geez. Okay, so for California, you do not have any clients in California. Unfortunately, you're heavily based in the EU. In fact, that's where the majority of your customers are. In fact, the majority of your customers are in Germany, where it's even better.
Okay, so we have a 72-hour clock for notifications, as far as I know. And again, not a lawyer, paralegal. So, all right, so that is definitely
all right. So I'm going to step in now because I heard we're on the clock now, and I heard Germany and GDPR. Now this little issue is no longer just IT; is corporate wide. So my first question is to legal and to finance. Tell me, at what point do we, make active our insurance, cyber insurance, to deal with this?
From a finance perspective, I think we start taking notes for finance right away. We start noticing what we've lost, customers we've lost, downtime we've had, and how we'd like the insurance to replace that.
And from the legal side of things, I think we have an obligation under our insurance to engage them quickly. We have, I believe, an obligation to use their investigators if we want to be fully covered.
All right. So I think we should go ahead and start making the phone calls.
Ed, can you roll a 1d20, please?
A 1d20. 1.
So Ed, I appreciate the fact that you're asking about engaging your cyber insurance vendor here, but you don't have any cyber insurance for this particular type of outbreak. In fact, you barely have cyber insurance that'll cover some sort of data loss. You don't have something that'll cover a ransomware attack because that was something that was on the books, but you decided to push it back, remember? You didn't have time for this right now, and you didn't see a need for it. So unfortunately, there is no cyber insurance that can help you. You're stuck with what you have.
All right.
So
you're rolling a 1.
10th. So I'm hoping our paychecks either went out on the 7th or the 1st of the month, and I don't have to worry about them until the 22nd or the end of the month.
I will give you.
That's a bad question because that's finance asking that question. You guys should know.
In that case, we don't have to pay again until the 1st of the month. That's when all our paychecks go out and our bills are due.
No, you guys go on a bi-weekly pay cycle, but it goes out on the 15th and the 1st. So you guys are actually okay for paying your employees. But that is a legitimate question that can come up, right? Yeah. And that is something that people will want to pay attention to, right? So that's okay. Hold on a second.
Since I've rolled many dice and failed a lot, I'm willing to panic at this point and basically go unplug the network stack so that we don't spread infection any further.
Can you roll a 1d20, please?
I'm going to unplug the vacuum cleaner, aren't I? That's what's going to happen.
I just want you to roll a die and see what happens.
I rolled a 10.
I'm going to give it to you. We're going to let you go ahead and unplug the systems. Unfortunately, 90% of your network has already been infected because this is a fast-moving one. So you did manage to save that last 10%, which was your VoIP system and the coffee maker.
Good.
So you will have coffee and you will be able to make phone calls, but you can pretty much assume everything else, including the website at this point, is down and encrypted.
Oh. Do we have backups?
Roll a 1d20, please.
13. Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. You do have backups.
Yay!
Unfortunately, you haven't tested them in 6 months.
Well, that's a good time to test them, I think.
Isn't it, though? So while Paul is going to go off and test some backups, which, by the way, can you roll a 1d6 and let me know in a minute what that is going to be? Suddenly the news agencies are knocking at your door. Specifically, they're calling Salma's department and saying, "Oh, hey, so we hear you guys are in the midst of a ransomware outbreak right now. Normally we wouldn't consider this newsworthy, but we got a hot tip that you guys are considering paying the ransom. Do you have any comment about that?" What do you want to do, Salma?
Maybe these agencies can help us in this critical moment. I don't know.
These are newspapers and television studios. Do you really want to accept their help to try to fix an internal issue, or do you want to give some sort of statement for the company?
Wow.
Or better yet, do you want to put Ed in front of the camera, a la a BP?
Our CEO. Damn.
Yeah, I think it would be in front of this because it's big issue, you know. So, Ed, please. What do you think?
Okay. Well, we're on top of the situation. We understand that this is my canned response. We're on top of the situation. We are engaged with our legal department, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible to let you know what's happening. That's it.
Okay. Paul, what did you roll?
A 3.
A 3. So your backups don't work. You did find one that worked, but it's about 3 months old.
Oh, so we only lose 3 months of business?
You're going to lose about 3 months worth of business.
Oh, that's fine. How bad can it be?
Holy crap. So now I'm going to get in there. I'm like, wait a second. How come we never, ever, ever tested our backups, Paul?
Well, that's because I'm writing my resume right now. I've rolled very badly. I've made some bad choices, Ed.
Oh my goodness.
No, legal's been up to our eyebrows in contracts. How many contracts and new customers have we onboarded, Mark, in the last 3 months? That's a quarter's worth of business.
Mark, why don't you before you answer, why don't you roll a 1d6, please?
5.
So you only onboarded in the last 3 months. We're going to give it between the 30 to 50 customer mark.
That's all.
So 30 to 50 customers, and that was a good quarter or a bad quarter for us?
Let's call that a mediocre quarter for you.
We could ask to re-sign everything, right? I mean, that's fine.
We certainly could, especially as long as we confirm that we haven't lost any of their private data. It's just our actual systems that are doing the work here that have gone down.
Yeah, I'm betting that's what that network performance slowdown that the website was having early on probably was.
That they tried to pull it and couldn't?
I bet they exfiltrated some data. John, can I roll for that?
Yes, you can roll for that.
A 6 or a 20?
Let's do a 20 for this one.
I rolled an 11.
So you see that the outbound network traffic is definitely higher than normal today, but you do not have visibility into what that data is. You just see raw numbers that it's higher. That's about it. Now, while you're busy taking a look at that, Salma, ring, ring, your cell phone rings.
Yeah.
You answer it.
I have ringing my cell phone right now.
Yes, your cell phone is ringing. You answer it, and this happens. Hello.
Hi.
This is the group that has ransomwared your systems. We request $150,000 USD sent in via Bitcoin to an email that we will send to you containing our Bitcoin wallet. You have 72 hours to comply before we delete your key. Goodbye.
Oh my God.
Salma, what do you want to do?
Oh my God, this is a fraud. What we're gonna do? We can't pay all the money, and I don't think
Well,
we have.
so far, you're the only person who knows how much they're asking. No one else has been told yet. So maybe you want to share with the rest of the group.
I have to share with Ed.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I just received this call. Very Ed. I'm ringing Ed.
I'm not answering. She should roll a dice.
No, Ed, you're going to answer Selma's call.
Okay. Okay, I'm answering. Hello.
SOS. We have an emergency. I just received this strange call, like from a group that is the one that is making all this mess in the system. So they're asking for big money.
How much? 100. A lot of money.
A lot
How much
of
money?
150,000.
$150,000. Wow. So legal.
What do you think we're gonna do?
Let me find out. Legal. If we pay that money, do we have to report?
Well, we are still investigating as to whether we have obligations to report under GDPR.
Okay.
It's technically not illegal to pay.
Okay. Well,
But-
yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't pay, we definitely don't have data for the next 3 months. For the last 3 months, we don't have any data.
If we pay and it doesn't work.
All right. So what we know right now, we go with the facts, right? We know 100% we lost 3 months worth of data. Paul, do we know if 100% sure that we have, that's all we lost, that we didn't lose more? We lost 3 months worth of data, 100% guaranteed. We can recover?
That appears to be the case, yes.
Okay. So that's a lot of money. So finance, do we have $150,000 laying around?
I think we do, because I think that was lower than the premium we were going to pay for cyber insurance, which is why we decided not to go for cyber insurance in the first place.
So we played the risk, and we're paying for it now. Okay. Okay. So, Jennifer, how long will it take us to find out if we pay, if we have to report or not?
Was the data encrypted?
Yes.
Roll a 1d6, please.
Me or her?
We'll get Jen to roll it first.
All right.
She asked the question.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it.
4.
No.
4, John.
No, Jen. It was
Oh.
not encrypted.
I'm having flashbacks over here, guys. You're killing
Your
me.
passwords were encrypted. You guys did a good job by actually using a proper hashing algorithm for your passwords, but the rest of the data itself was not encrypted.
And as far as the PII, we're talking just email accounts and names?
So for the PII, it would be addresses, name.
Oof.
Okay. So we definitely have an obligation under GDPR
Report.
to report.
We have an obligation either way, right? Whether we get it back or not, it was
Yeah.
lost at one
Yeah,
point.
but yeah, since it was unencrypted, we've got 72 hours to.
Now, I should clarify, when I say that it is unencrypted, it means that it was encrypted at rest, but this was an active attack, right? So this would have been an attack against your network systems where this data would have been in use. Thereby, it would have been decrypted at the time of use.
Okay.
So from that perspective, that data itself is unencrypted.
Unencrypted, yeah.
All right. So we lost 3 months worth of data. Some of it was unencrypted, and they probably have, we don't know a percentage. They're asking $150,000 to unencrypt. We still have to report we will probably lose a lot of the clients afterwards. But if we pay the ransom, we may, as a company, continue operating, correct? We will limp for a while.
Will you trust these guys?
That was the question I was going to ask as well. Are these people, I mean, do we trust that they will actually be nice people and give us the key, or just walk away with the key? It seems like we're a company. We're a company that likes taking risks, right? So we discuss cyber insurance. We say it's too expensive. We'll take the risk. And so now we are here on the path, that we chose to be in, the risky path. So yeah, the question from Salma is a very good one. Do we trust these people?
It makes a good argument when we go back to the board next semester or next quarter to argue about how much our cyber insurance costs.
Yeah, exactly.
If we can get it after.
Exactly. How do we go about legally, Jen? How do we go about the paying the ransomware?
We need to investigate how we would do that. I think we have the cash available, or do we need to?
You keep asking questions.
Mark.
I think we have the cash available in a slush fund. Since we said that it was less than the payment, we should have at least that. The hardest part is when the payment doesn't come back, and then we'll find out that we actually took the money out of the employee fund rather than out of
Mark,
the slush fund.
can you roll a 1d6 for me, please?
I can. 1.
So keep in mind that the industry that you're in is you are making software for the waste management industry. And in North America, the waste management industry is lovingly known to be run by a certain organized group. And you have funds available. Those funds, however, are not necessarily on the books.
Even better.
You may need to gather a loan from your cousin Vinny, for example.
All my funds are on the books.
So that's why I forgot about my cousin Vinny. That's why we decided not to purchase the cyber insurance. We have our own insurance.
But the beauty of this is it can remain totally off the books.
But again, we still have to, so legally, can we go, and again, this is to Salma as well and Jen, can we go and say we were hacked, but the information has been recovered? We contacted everyone within 72 hours, told them, make sure that you change your passwords, blah, 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 blah. But that we can say that it was recovered. We don't have to legally say how it was recovered. Is that correct?
I believe from a legal standpoint, that's whether we can keep that out of the media.
The media. It's a good thing we didn't say anything to the media.
Oh, the media is calling again. They're looking for an update.
Oh my God. We have to distract the media.
We're handling the situation with internal processes.
Yeah. Look at this.
It's an ongoing investigation that we don't comment on.
Right.
Ed, people are worried. Their garbage is piling up at their curbsides, and no one's coming to pick it up.
What?
I'm going to sneak one of our desktops over to the television station's network and turn it on.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
That'll stop them from bugging us. They'll be too busy.
Okay. I don't think is that legal, Jen? I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not advisable.
Stay on target, people.
We were demonstrating for the 7 o'clock news.
All right. So people are getting worried. People are getting worried. Well, we don't have anyone from operations. We need to contact operations and find out what's going on. If this didn't affect payroll, why aren't people doing their work, their job?
Well, their desktops are down, Ed. Most of the systems that they're working with daily are not.
All right, but
working.
We can call. Don't we have VoIP services working? Can we get a hold of them and tell them manually, or yeah, in live, in person, the old technology. Get to work.
Let me ask you a different question, Ed. What do you want to do with regards to the ransom?
Are we gonna pay it?
You're going to pay the ransom?
We have no choice. We have no
Okay.
choice. We'll go with the off the books and pay the ransom that way.
Perfect. You pay the ransom. Salma, you managed to coordinate with these guys. I noticed you didn't try to negotiate the ransom down at all, Ed. You know, the ransomware guys really appreciate that. They love getting a nice big windfall that way.
You know, didn't we say that I know how to manage money?
Yes, sure, absolutely, we did. And after you provide them with the funds and you see that everything has been transferred, silence.
Shit.
And at this point, we're going to wrap up this particular scenario, just because we've got about 15 minutes left. But what I want to do now is actually step you through what really happened and what were you facing? Because this was a little unfair because, again, you didn't know what was going to be happening. So, quick scenario review. First of all, did you all enjoy that? Yeah. That's the most important thing. Was that fun? I noticed we started going a little off the rails near the end, but that's okay. We're having a wee bit of fun with this. If this was something more realistic, obviously we'd have more deeper rooted care about our fictional companies as opposed to what we had here, but it still showcases something pretty good. So what really happened? The reality was your company was a target of a corporate espionage attack. Someone, likely a competitor, but as we all know, attribution is hard, hired a group of hackers to steal information from your systems related to your main product. Again, you're providing software for the waste management industry. And part of the reason operations wasn't working, Ed, is because the software that you run is what coordinates the garbage trucks and the waste stations to actually bill different departments. This is something, this is drawn from experience that I've had in a previous life, where I actually did work for someone who did work in the waste management industry. If that software goes down, the garbage trucks will literally line up for a mile. Wow. And will start blocking. That's a different story for another day, but nonetheless, it is a very real world denial of service attack. So the hackers were actually after your IP. They wanted access to the source code. However, the hacking group was also instructed to utilize a scorched earth policy against your organization once they were done. What that means is burn it to the ground. As Jerry Bell, one of our other wonderful presenters, will be coming later this later this week, has been known to say, you know, when your Active Directory gets compromised, just burn it down and start it all over again. That's what these guys were essentially after. They were not there to just ransom your systems. They were there to steal information and then take you down a peg. The goal was, best case, eliminate you from the sector completely. The worst case scenario, as far as this person or persons who hired this hacking group, was to knock you out of that #1 spot. Someone else wanted to take over and become market leader. So they were out to hurt you. Does this sound unrealistic? Because it shouldn't. You know, Tony did a great job this morning when he was talking about the DBIR report from Verizon. But again, according to the Verizon DBIR report, 45% of breaches involve hacking, 70% were perpetrated by outsiders, and 86% were financially motivated. We had a hacking attack by a group of outsiders that were paid a large amount of money by a competitor, likely a competitor, again, attribution is hard, who wanted to become market leader and take that financial lead, right? So here we've got all these things. Now, corporate espionage, that's normally about 3%, again, as per DBIR for 2020. It's actually dropped over the years. Used to be 17% in 2019, if memory serves. But nonetheless, it's not unheard of for competitors to actually harm one another, especially in a very tight market. Very commonly, distributed denial of service attacks and ransomware are often used as distractions to hide evidence of a network infiltration. So Paul, you did the right thing by saying, hey, I wanted to take a look to see, did we see any exfiltration of the data? There was a bit of an uptick, but part of that could have just been people trying to see what was going on with your systems. The reality is they've been in your system probably for about 6 weeks, and they've been slowly siphoning data just below that threshold for your alarms to go off, because they spent the time to do the research to figure out what was going on. They managed to get in through a spreadsheet with an Excel macro, and that was the initial point of entry. Unfortunately, there wasn't an easy way to track that because you didn't have all the necessary tools that you would normally have if you had a dedicated team.
So this was finance's fault.
This is not finance's fault. I said it was a spreadsheet. I didn't say it was finance who opened the spreadsheet.
It was probably the CEO.
One of the security questionnaires from a third party.
Right.
It could have been a security questionnaire from a third party. It could have been a, hey, would you like to nominate your company for one of the industry awards? Please fill out this questionnaire.
We get a lot of those, yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. You guys are #1 market leader. Absolutely, could happen, right? There's many, many different vectors, right? It could have just as well been something from someone in support who decided to forward an email that they got from their home email address to their work email address and opened it there because they figured they couldn't open it on their home PC. So let's just use one of the work PCs because they're much more powerful and thereby should be easier to do. So that in a nutshell is what a gamified tabletop looks like. Essentially, when people make a decision, we ask them to roll a die, and depending on what sort of randomized distribution I'm looking for, I will ask either a 6-sided die or a 20-sided die. Basically, you can think of it like a roulette wheel. If I want you to have a better chance of one outcome versus another, I'll ask you to roll a 20-sided die. And the reason for that is I'll have sort of these probabilities for what is going to be good, what is going to be bad, what is going to be absolutely horrible. And we'll see how that pans out. The one thing you guys don't see as we're doing this presentation, I actually have another laptop here that has the different scenarios put up. So I've actually run this particular scenario a few times. So I actually know what the different outcomes are going to be based on what people were going to discuss. So there's a bit of witchcraft involved as part of this, but that's half the fun. We know some of the scenarios, and others we have to come up with on the fly. So as Ed mentioned earlier, next week, I will be doing a 2-day training session on the 20th and 21st for creating your own gamified tabletops. So for those of you who thought this was interesting and want to introduce this to your own organizations, come join me. You can actually register for the workshop over on the Tactical Edge website. Yep. And we can kind of take it from there. So what I'm going to be doing during this particular training session is I'm actually going to step you through step by step. What does this look like? How do we actually come up with this? How do we come up with the different scenarios? How do we come up with a disaster? Who are the players that we need to be involved? How do we make sure that people actually take this seriously? If you've never done a tabletop before and this is something you want to do, or you've done 100 tabletops in the past, you're like, we have to be able to do something better, I highly encourage you to come join us and see what this is all about. We'll go through some real world scenarios and I'll show you how we actually pull these things together, and you'll get some one-on-one support with me in terms of coming up with your own tabletops that might fit your facsimile thereof, because obviously we don't want to infringe on anyone's trade secrets or whatever else.
Perfect. No, so this was fantastic. And again, if you were watching this, or when you're watching this, you realize that at the beginning we took it easy, and then we actually got into it, and it actually became like almost real. I mean, Salma, for example, was like, what am I doing? I'm marketing. I don't know what ransomware is. What the heck is going on? Right? I mean, she took it very personal. And that's the whole idea of gamified table topic, because you have to react right? On the spot. You have to make a decision very quickly. We're lucky that over here, we can make decisions that will not have real world, ramifications. But the good thing is that it will let us all think, wow, we really don't know how to react to this. Why do we is it true? We don't, our backups, we don't test our backups. And then you start talking about those processes with your IT department, and they say, well, our budget doesn't allow us to spend time on doing that. So we do it all of a sudden, you guarantee you're going to get a budget for that somehow, because the only reason why we decided to pay the ransom is because we didn't have backups at this point, correct? 3 months is a lot of time. So yeah, this was great, and I hope everyone, a lot of you can join us. It's next Thursday and Friday. It's not all day; it's half a day Thursday, half a day Friday in the morning. I believe we said mornings, right, John?
Yeah, we said mornings.
And
so it'll just be mornings for both.
Yeah, and yeah, it's going to be great. It's on the website, tacticaledge.co/en. Take a look for it. And again, John, thank you so much. Jen, Paul, Mark, thank you so much for participating. I hope that it was interesting for you.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
And John, thank you so much. Jen, Paul, everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.